All right, you guys, welcome to the first video on my YouTube channel. If you are joining me from over on TikTok, welcome back. I greatly appreciate that you took the time to come over and check me out. However, if you are here directly from YouTube, don't worry about it because you're not really missing out on anything. We are going to be doing a little bit of a combination reading from several different types and aspects of divination. So, as you can see, I have quite a few things on my table here. I really like these readings to be a little more interactive. I don't want to just be sitting down alone with the cards and telling you what they say. I sort of want to be channeling different energies from my little table setup altar here and being able to explore different things as things change and evolve. And hopefully, if you guys are called to specific things, always you can let me know down in the comments because that could potentially influence the readings that I do in the future. And if I'm just gonna be completely honest, I know this looks like a lot of stuff, but this is by no means the only stuff that I have. So there's a lot of other different types of trinkets and doodads that I want to break out to perform various types of readings. But today we are going to start out with a simple card reading, and I have one or two other things in mind that I may want to lean towards or try, but we're just gonna see what exactly is called to me because I don't want to do anything as just a performance. I think this is fun. I like the aesthetics. I like being able to get you guys involved. It really helps me be put into the mindset, but I don't want to force anything. And I think for those of you who have been doing this a long time, like I have, you know that one of the worst things you can do is force yourself into something, even if you think that it's something that you really need to do or you should be doing. It's just not it's not going to work, and you are going to find, and I have found that sometimes the best workings are things that just flow through me. You know, they're things that I didn't have to force myself because a lot of times that level of resistance is coming from somewhere either deep within yourself or potentially outside of yourself that's saying, hey, you could try to be forcing this one particular thing. But it's probably not going to work. So it's best not to kick that door down and deal with the consequences because once you kick that door down, there's not really anything you can do about it. So we are going to start off by lighting a few of my candles here. There we go. I just like lighting them when you guys are already on. I know a lot of people light them before, and as you can see, I have one or two candles lit before, but I really think that lighting them together helps us get into the spirit like together. It feels like we're really opening that door together, and I want you guys to be with me kind of from beginning to end of this. I want this to be not so much as a reading as a conversation between me, spirits, guides, whatever it is we're channeling. And as we go forward with different readings, there are going to be different things that I am channeling, different things that I am trying to communicate, potentially different people I am trying to communicate with. But for this, we're just going to start with basic energies, reading of the cards. We have one of my favorite decks here. It actually used to belong to a friend of mine, and I had seen it on her bookshelf for a long, long time, months and months and months. And then all of a sudden, one day, it just called out to me so strong. And she doesn't do a lot of readings. She likes them, she's done them in the past, but it's just not something it's not where she's at in her life right now, and I said, "Hey, I don't wanna just take your stuff, but I really would love it if you let me borrow this," and she was like, "Yeah, you absolutely can borrow it. I don't need it for anything right now." And then after, like, a month or 2, I was like, "Hey, when do you want this back?" And she said, "Honestly, you can just keep it because I know you really liked it," and I still really like it. That was 6 months, a year ago, maybe. I've had this for a little while now. It's still relatively new, but it still calls out to me really strong. But we have the candles lit. As you can see, these are beeswax candles. I actually get them from my friends. They go to a local farmer's market and get the raw beeswax, and then they make them into candles for me. And I just really enjoy the intention that goes into that. And for me specifically when I'm dealing with certain nature spirits or ancestors, I find that the closer you can get to nature with your candles, i.e., beeswax, coconut wax, soy wax, as opposed to paraffin wax, I find that a lot of times they really appreciate that. However, one thing I will want to note is more expensive is not always better. For instance, with my ancestors, particularly, yes, they like when I splash out occasionally, but they don't want me to do it all the time. Like, say I have very particular financial goals that I am working towards. If they find out that I've spent $200 to get giant beeswax candles for them, that's not going to do any better than getting a few paraffin wax candles or things that show that I'm devoted and that I'm thinking about them and really want to work with their energies and their wisdom, but not so much that they feel like I'm making a poor financial decision. Because I know so many people talk about ancestors like they just want so much, and the more you can get them, the better. But you have to remember that in many cases, these people were your family. And They are people who want what's best for you. They don't want you to be putting yourself into a financial pit to just give and give and give and give to them. But yeah, with that being said, you know what? Actually, as you guys can see, I have my little money ritual going on here. And this is something I've been working for a while. As you can see, it's actually almost done. But I really wanted to give you guys the opportunity to jump in on that. With these things, it's kind of a get what you put in, but then it's greater than the sum of its parts. So feel free to put your own intention, maybe light a smaller candle and have it work with the energy of this money working. But it's also kind of like a hey, put in some energy, you get some energy out. And then the more energy we are collectively putting into this, the stronger it gets for everyone involved. So I just wanted to give you guys that option. And yeah, I am going to be putting a little bit of the Midas Touch oil from Inexplicable Things. I've had this for a while. We are also almost empty on that. But I just find that this works really well. And if you regularly do candle workings, I highly suggest not just dressing the candle with oil at the beginning, but every time you light it, just put like couple drops. What was that? Two? Just put a couple drops in there. And I find that that really you can just kind of you feel it just working and you are visualizing, you are feeling the energy. So yeah, I will put that right back here, and we will get started with card reading now that we are 6 minutes in. All right, let's see what these cards have to say. I'm trying to connect with the spirits. Let's see if there's anything particular we want to get through. I think we are just doing basic spirit energy, see if there's any messages from the other world, the spirit world, spirit, the universe, whatever it is you choose to call it. We are just looking for greater, higher energy. And actually, I'm just going to kind of get this cleansed a little bit. I find that selenite has this particular way of connecting with higher energy. So now that we know that's exactly what we're going to be working towards, I just want to be able to align this deck a little bit more with what it is we're doing. And I can already feel it getting heavier in my hand because I think our higher selves, our spirit, the universe has some stuff that it wants to tell us. So with that being said, let's pull. How many cards do I want to pull? I have to be careful because the cards in this deck are very slippery, and even just shuffling it early, like 50 different cards fill out. So I think we want to do four. Do you guys ever do this? Is one of the biggest problems you have when reading is deciding exactly how many cards you want to pull? I think we are going to do four. So yeah, let's start one, two, three, four. Interesting. We're getting some really heavy water energy. I was actually not going to bring this up because I was going to save this for another more particular reading. And maybe I will get into the details of it, but I've been having a lot of dreams about water lately. So the fact that we are getting 3 out of 4 from the water directly, and then the one card we are getting that is from the major arcana and not the water the cup suit is the moon. So just that you guys can get a better view of exactly what we're working with. Queen of Cups, the moon I just showed you. Ace of Cups, we're working with some beginning energy, getting into something new, which, like I said, I've been feeling this relatively recently. And then also we have the Page of Cups. So there is a lot of beginner energy. I can tell we are moving towards something new. We just had the dark moon at the time of filming this video, so we're going to be moving more and more towards the full moon. So I think that definitely has something to say in terms of the way that this lined up. But as you can see, we are moving from this beginning energy and we are moving more into this advanced energy. And what I'm seeing right now specifically is we have Ace of Cup and Page of Cups on this side, the Moon right here, and then the Queen of Cups. So what I am getting from this reading, particularly our higher selves, the universe, is that if we want to go from understanding our emotions in this very basic, this very primordial way, this very novice sort of way. We have this basic understanding of a new situation we're in, and we are having feelings from it. And if we want to transverse that new paradigm, that new way of being, that new thing that we are moving towards, and we want to understand our emotions better, we want to get to this very high knowledge, this very enlightened self understanding. I think the Queen of Cups is really one of the most emotionally enlightened cards and archetypes in the tarot as a whole. But if we want to do that, what we are going to have to do is pass through the moon. And for those of you guys who are new to tarot, one of the big things that the moon works with is this concept of the unconscious, the deeper psyche, the things that are beneath the surface of the water that we aren't totally aware of. And when you think about it, that actually makes perfect sense for this video because what we are trying to do is get a deeper understanding of ourselves. However, let's say you're thinking about looking towards a new career path. There is you've been in the same job for the past 10 years. You don't really see it going anywhere. If you do it for the next 30 years, it's probably going to be something that looks relatively the same to how it does now. But you have long had this passion for things that you want to do. Let's say it's fashion. Let's say fashion. I'm also getting cars. So maybe somebody who's listening to this wants to work with cars, and I'm picturing something not so much mechanic, but maybe more towards the creative end or like the racing end, or there's a very specific type of work on cars that's not just basic repairs, it's something more than that, or maybe you're repairing a very niche, more artisan type of car, or you're in fashion, it's something very creative is what I'm getting for this. And that actually also works very well with the moon because that's very dealing with our heart and the energies that we have, heart chakra, all of our feelings, all of our emotions. So one of the things that I'm getting from this is basically just that there is a lot going on that you have an understanding of. You may not know that you have an understanding of, but most people would be shocked when they realize that like our intuition knows so much about us that we don't necessarily know. It understands us in ways that we don't even understand ourselves because it is this primordial evolution deep within us, deep within our spirits that design is designed to keep us safe even when maybe our rational mind or the different barriers we've put up over the years, the psychic barriers that we think help keep us safe, are actually preventing us from moving forward. And one of the lessons of this card, specifically if, again, I'm getting jobs, it could potentially, we could be looking at a new romantic situation, but I think this is leaning more towards like a long term passion for something and not someone. We are going to be needing to go to that moon archetype. And this is actually a great time of the month because the moon is going to be getting more and more full. So I would say over the next week or two, as the moon is getting more full, just spend like a few minutes a night staring up at the moon, appreciating it for all of its beauty, really maybe trying to thank it. That could be something that we are looking towards, looking for. That's an energy that you can really easily channel just as the energy of the moon is building over the next couple weeks. And you will find that if you do that with the intention of finding out your new job or realizing the path that you should take as you are moving forward, this is going to be something that you get quite a bit of knowledge on. And I wouldn't be surprised if just the timing worked out that over the next 2 weeks, by the time that the moon is full, you reach some new level of clarity on the situation and you have a much better understanding of your path forward. And then over the following 2 weeks, as it goes back to the dark moon and we sort of complete that cycle, I think you'll be seeing more of external solutions happening. So over the next week or two, it gets full. You understand your path forward. And then from that point on is when the world around you, the situation around you really begins to align with that. So with that being said, I believe we're going to put these cards away for right now. We're going to keep that here. And since specifically we got the moon, again, this is something I was potentially thinking about saving for another reading, but I think we could really be getting something from doing a bit of lunar channeling. And for those of you who don't know, which should be none of you, I can't remember if I have talked about this on my TikTok before, but this crystal ball is just a little bit of a quartz and it is tourmalated. So you can see those tourmaline deposits really breaking through there. This works excellent. And I have used this basically since I got it to channel moon energies. And like I said, these readings, I try to keep them a little more lively. I try to do a little bit more than just looking at the cards. So since we are clearly focusing this reading on lunar energies water, I really want to just do a little bit of scrying on this. So I think we are going to switch to the second part of the reading and we're going to dive deeper into these lunar energies because I have been dealing a lot with the moon lately and I have a very special connection with the moon and I actually have a very spiritual, like a connection with an emanation of the moon spirit that I don't think I'm going to talk about right now, but it could be something I'm open to talking about in the future. But let's just say the moon is integral in my overall spiritual practice, and it is one of the things that got me in the first place. And not so much got me in, but more grabbed me by the collar and yanked me in. So, with that, all right, lunar spirit, I would like to connect with you. We have had excellent luck communing through this particular artifact in the past. help me understand and clarify the reading that I have had through these cards, help the people who are viewing this to understand better their situation, and really help us all tap into that intuition within ourselves and let us know what the answers are and let us know what the highest version of ourselves understand those answers to be, because we know that through the years there's been so many barriers put up between us and our highest selves, and we really want to use your energy and we want to commune with you and thank you for giving us the opportunity to perceive past those barriers and see what it is that we really need to understand. So with that, I'm just going to take a few deep breaths. All right, we're doing a little bit of visualization. And specifically, the aspect of the moon that this helps me connect with is the dark moon. And as I was breathing, I was doing some visualization, and I see the moon turning into this mirror, and then that mirror becomes a reflection of what it is that I need to be seeing. That's what I did with this exact reading. It's not always how it goes, but that's how it normally goes, and that's what just happened. And what I got, this actually really clear answer came through. Another reason why I like this, I get a lot of very clear answers from this crystal ball, but what I got is 5 years. It started off as 10, and then that didn't feel quite right, and then it was like, bam, flash, big number 5 I am seeing. We are getting 5 years from now. I am seeing myself 5 years in the future. You are seeing yourself 5 years in the future. So the way that helps me connect with this is that whatever challenge you are dealing with right now that deals with this reading specifically is going to be something that impacts you solidly for the next 5 years. And that's not to say that it's not going to be a stepping stone into the rest of your life. However, if it is something like a job and you find a new job, you decide to pursue a specific passion, it's really going to be heavy for 5 years. So, say you get a job at a specific company that you like, you could potentially see yourself having that job for about 5 years, and then it could be a stepping stone to something even more aligned with you, or just the natural progression. It's not to say that this isn't aligned, but just it's going to be something that you hold on to for about 5 years, and then you are either taking it to the next step, potentially you're getting a promotion or bringing other people in, maybe going out to start your own thing, or it's just something that you're going to take the wisdom, the energy, the experience you've learned from that job and taking it to the next phase of your life. Regardless, it's going to be very important. So, with that being said, as I am looking at these cards again, I just want to affirm to you guys that this is not something that you are going to logic through. In this case, logic specifically is the barrier that you are facing, because a lot of times logic isn't exactly what we think of. It's this weapon we use to try to justify something we think we should or should not be doing. So, in terms of actually pursuing a passion that you are passionate about and you think you could see yourself having a career for, a lot of times we tell ourselves that it is not going to be as lucrative up front, and that is a reason why we shouldn't be doing something. And while that may be true, that is not to say that it is the answer. It is an explanation, but it is not the answer. And what I am getting from this reading, that if you really want to see a version of yourself that has evolved, has leveled up, has come to a deeper understanding of their own passions, spirituality, and has cultivated this greater sense of purpose, you are going to need to take the steps towards pursuing things that actually fill your heart. Because this is not just about filling your wallet, and it's not just about doing what your brain tells you, that sort of third eye, that's just like this very rational, it's very earth energy, which is absolutely not the energy we are getting from this, is basically a weapon that you are using to hurt yourself and prevent yourself from doing something that could actually make you happy for X, Y, and Z reason, that, if you are being completely honest with yourself, is not as good of a reason as you think it is to not be doing something you are passionate about. So with that, I really want to deeply thank the energy of the moon. I want to thank my crystal ball. I want to thank these cards. That's something that's always really important to me. I do want to just end out this reading with a little bit of a quick sound cleanse to just kind of be a stopping point, help you guys get on with the rest of your day. It's just going to be a quick one, two, three tap. And this is specifically aligned with clearing I can't remember what the note is exactly, but it is specifically aligned with clearing the third eye. So I like to ring it at the end of readings because it just helps me to shut down that channeling of intuition. Like I said, I really want to bring you guys from beginning to end. So with that, we're going to do a one, two, three. Really just allow that sound to wash over you, clear out whatever brain fog you have. Maybe take a couple of deep breaths. And now we are done. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this reading. I really appreciate it. Again, if you came over from TikTok, hello. If you are not from TikTok, feel free to go over onto TikTok and check me out there, or just to stay over on here. And I hope to see you guys in another video. Let me know what exactly resonated with you, because that always really helps me to get a better idea of what you guys are thinking about, perceiving, whatever is being channeled to you, because I think that just opens up the collective unconscious for us all and allows us all to be a little more intuitive and tap into these knowings that we have been repressing for so long. So, with that, I will leave you guys and I will see you in the next one.